evening, everybody. Welcome to our workshop today. So, I believe we've been enjoying a lot for the past few days at this residency, where we started talking about solidity, building on blockchain, back end development, Falcon workshop. So, today we have the cNGN here with us, where we are going to talk about stablecoin. So yeah, just like our caption says, Naira is not dead; it's just on chain. So we are going to be learning about stablecoin and how we can build it, and also what when it comes to stablecoin development and integrating the API and everything. So yeah, so welcome on board. Let's welcome our speaker today, Mr. Adeola Adeshina, and we are glad to have you here. And I know we are going to learn. Back end, we've have this so much energy. So guys, let's learn, ask question, interact, and all. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Tolu and the Nigeria team. Very amazing job you guys are doing. Sorry I was not able to come up with a slide for this session because of the short timing. But all in all, like Tolu has said, my name is Adeola Adeshina. I used to be a pharmacist, right? I'm one of so many people who used to be a pharmacist. I finished pharmacy school in 2017. Then I started my foray into tech, web development. Then I moved into data science, and then I moved into Web3 marketing. Right. So I presently the only right now we should have some other stable coins, but we're the only Naira stable coin in the market right now. And I'm glad to build, with my colleagues to see how we can, just improve the space. Naira is not dead. It is not. It is moved on chain. Tolu, are you there? Because I'm the only one in the room right now.
So that you
So
can
I need
really.
feedback. I need to be sure that you guys can hear me. Can you
Yeah,
come?
just what you want to confirm, I can always open my mic to confirm that.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So Naira is not dead. It just moved on chain. I think I need to kind of start with the logic behind this opening, right? So I used to add marketing for a blockchain called Asset Chain. So Asset Chain is a layer one blockchain that was built to bring real world assets on chain. And Asset Chain, of course, owned and built by Nigerian. The entire team is in Nigeria, are all Nigerians, so to say. It was built on the back of research, right? It was built on the back of research, right? And what this research does is that it asks you very important questions, right? So, for example, the question in the room here is, why is capitalism successful in the US and by extension the EU and not successful everywhere else? So you look at capitalism, working in the US, works a little in the EU, but if you look at Africa, you look at former Soviet Union countries, you look at LATAM, you look at the Middle East, capitalism doesn't work anywhere else, right? So we had serious researchers who went to do, a whole research on why capitalism works in the US and doesn't work everywhere else. And the answer is in one word. And that word is the word I want you to take away from this session today. The answer is in one word: representation. Right? So the US and the EU have legal frameworks for their financial systems that allows them to represent assets and take loans against assets. And they have an entire framework, that allows them to do that. Right. So I can build a house right now in the US, right, and use that house, to take a $1 million loan. You can't do that anywhere else, right? So representation is the reason why capitalism works in the US and doesn't work anywhere else. I'm not sure if that makes sense, right? And if you're able to, so the argument in this book is that if you're able to give an asset proper representation, then you bring it alive. So we have the mystery of debt capital and we have the mystery of living capital. So a debt capital is a piece of land somewhere in Ibadan, right? Or a farmyard somewhere in Mexico, right? Or a piece of road somewhere in Latam, in in India, Southeast Asia, right? That doesn't have proper representation. It's dead. That's what the research says. The research says once a piece of assets, is not properly represented in a way that you can trade against that asset, then that asset is dead. If you're able to represent that asset in such a way where you can trade against it and carry out different financial activities against an asset that is sitting down, in one place, then that asset is alive. Now you can bring that analogy back to the naira. The naira, without being represented on chain, in our lingo, was dead capital. Now that we can bring the naira onto the blockchain, then it's alive. So that's where the entire topic came from. The naira is not dead, right? It just moved on chain. cNGN basically has two major focuses. I like to call it upstream and downstream, right? So it has an upstream focus, that's talking on chain, talking about our various DeFi use cases. Then it has a downstream focus that's talking off chain, right? So cNGN has very important use cases on chain, and it has very important use cases off chain. Internally, we're bigger, or we're very big on our off-chain use cases, because most of our on-chain use cases are like self-fulfilling prophecies, right? A stable coin would always be needed on-chain, right? But we're even more interested in what problems cNGN was built to solve, off-chain. So I thought it was going to be, is there like a room where the audience is answering questions? I would love to ask a question. If you're one of those people who has ever felt, hello, are you giving me a response? If you're one of those people who have ever felt that we didn't need the naira stable coin because of the naira fluctuations, we had some people, a couple of months when we launched, saying, "Oh, why do we need cNGN? Why would I want to hold cNGN? The naira is, losing to the dollar. Now naira is very volatile, and like people do not even want to hold the naira in the first place, right? So if you do not want to hold the naira, it now begs the question: why would you want to hold cNGN, right? I'm not sure. Is there anyone in the room who has, had such that kind of feeling, or had that kind of mentality around cNGN, right? So the purpose of this session is to diffuse such thinking, right? But I'll start with the upstream use cases, right? And I'll start with our normal, DeFi use cases. cNGN just helps you take your money out of USD into Naira in a very seamless way. Um, you know what lanterns did to candles, and you know what electricity did to lanterns, right? That entire disruption, market disruption, that's what cNGN is doing for P2P. Now, Nigeria has the biggest P2P market in the world. I'm sure that I do not have to prove that, and I'm sure that there will be no naysayer saying, no, that's not true. We have the biggest P2P market in the world, right? What cNGN is doing is that P2P is riddled with a lot of problems. Chief of those problems is fraud, right? I have friends who have gotten scammed in the P2P market. I luckily during my Binance days, I'm lucky not to have gotten scammed, but I have friends who have gotten scammed for days, right? And what happens is that you send your token to a P2P vendor, the person takes your token and doesn't release fiat, or takes your fiat and doesn't release token. With cNGN, and I'm very glad to see that our friends at Asset Chain and Zen Finance are building that entire experience where you can take your USDC, whatever your Solana, your Base ETH, whatever token you have, you can swap it to cNGN and hold the naira on chain, or spend the naira, or from the naira, so to say, right? That's basically our upstream use cases. Now, I do not like to talk too much about upstream use cases because they're like I said, self-fulfilling prophecies, right? Whatever the USDC is doing on chain, whatever the USDT is doing on chain, the cNGN is also going to do on chain. So I don't like to spend my time, talking about our upstream use cases. But before I go into downstream use cases, do I have any questions? Is there any question popping?
Okay, thank you. I don't think there's any question yet. I'm checking the chat, but we can continue. I'll keep checking. If there's any question, I'll bring it up.
All right, thank you so
Thank you.
much. All right. Now, at the forefront of our biggest use cases for cNGN, is that cNGN was not, built to solve macroeconomic challenges, right? I've seen people on Twitter, so to say things like, "Oh, why do we need cNGN? cNGN is pegged one to one to the naira. Why do I want to hold it?" The answer to that question is that we did not build cNGN, so to say, for you to hold it. It's fine if you hold your naira or if you don't want to hold the naira. Like that's not the reason why we built cNGN. cNGN was basically built to solve our complex financial inefficiencies, right? Every day you have to face complex financial inefficiencies. One of those inefficiencies is you send money from GTB to Access Bank. I intentionally used the most notorious banks. Let me say GTB. Okay, let me say Access and Zenith because I think those are top two notorious banks in Nigeria, right? So we have issues where money is getting stuck between banks. So money leaves the bank, doesn't get to the other bank, right? Bank A is saying the money has left our bank. Bank B is saying we didn't see the money. We have cases where you use a POS, you got debited, right? But the person is saying they've not seen it, right? It got rejected on the POS machine, but you got debited in your account. And then there is like, where's my money? How do I get my money, right? That's one of those complex financial inefficiencies that we both built cNGN to solve in Nigeria. Now, what it does is that there's something called a sandwich model. Basically, it's a sandwich model. You know how sandwiches are, right? There's the bread, then there's the butter filled with, well, I don't know how you guys make your sandwiches, but when I was growing up, it was just butter and sardine. I grew up in a very middle class stroke poor family, right? We were not middle class, we were not poor. Like we were in the middle of poor and middle class. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying, right? So if you're someone like me, we grew up with bread and our sandwich was butter mixed with sardine, right? So cNGN as the butter and sardine, right? So what happens is that you can have a situation now where money leaves bank A, say 5,000 naira leaves bank A, that 5,000 naira gets converted to 5,000 cNGN, 5,000 cNGN gets to bank B, and then it settles in bank B as naira. And when you have such situation, there will never be a situation where money is getting stuck between banks because we have finality. With blockchain, there is no reversal, there is no, oh, the money didn't get there, then it's accessible online. But you can check, who did what. I remember 2020 when we had the NSAS and there was this entire FEMCO drama, that ensued. What happened is that some people went to check the FEMCO Bitcoin account to see that they had withdrawn Bitcoin, and the rest of the drama that ensued, right? So it's a public blockchain, and all of the transactions that you carry out can be tracked on chain. So you can track where your money is coming from, and you can track where your money is going to. That's one use case. Another use case, where I feel like cNGN or stable coins generally have found adoption or have found PMF, so to say, is cross-border remittance, right? So anywhere you have money moving, right, stable coins moves faster. I'll take it again. Anywhere you have money moving from point A to point B, stable coins helps the money move faster and more efficient, right? So we have use cases like Bantu and PAPS, where these guys are helping intra-African trade. So you can now move money from a Nigerian bank to a Sudanese bank, from a Sudanese bank to a Ghanaian bank to a Kenyan bank, a Kenyan bank to a Liberian bank to a Tanzanian bank using stablecoins, right? And cNGN is one of the biggest use cases on Bantu blockchain right now. We're happy to see, what our friends at Bantu, and by extension, PAPS, right, are building, right? So cross-border remittance. Finally, we have lots of use cases, but I just wanted to highlight three. Finally, we have use cases in asset management, right? So we have situations where people invest in certain companies. When I was growing up, I remember my dad, bought stocks for us in Dangote. We bought some Access Bank, Dangote Sugars, Zenith Bank, FCMB, and stuff like that. Right, and we have situations in Nigeria where dividend is paid, but there's transaction reversal. Again, complex financial inefficiencies. You plug cNGN or any stablecoin into such a system, and that problem disappears in one swoop, right? Because on the blockchain, once again, all of us are blockchain enthusiasts. We're three guys. You know that once blockchain transaction happens, there is no such way that there's going to be a reversal or some anti panky. You know where your money has gone to. You can check the hash and all the other details in your Explorer, right? So cross-border remittance, switching and processing or talking about payments and asset management are like top three use cases in my head right now, where cNGN is solving problems on chain. And finally, you might be asking, how does cNGN work for the government? Because now I'm saying Naira is not dead, it just moved on chain. Now, do you know how much Naira leaves our economy every day? That's my question to you. Do you know how much Naira leaves our economy every day? From Spotify, subscriptions to Namecheap subscriptions to all of these subscriptions that they do. I mean, we're all Nigerians, right? So I'm allowed to speak some pidgin, right? All these subscriptions that they do every day. Do you know how much Naira leaves the economy, right? And what this thing does is that it puts too much pressure on our Naira reserves, too much pressure on our Naira reserves, where Naira is leaving the economy for the USD. Now, with cNGN, what you are spending is the representation of the Naira, not the Naira, right? So we can ease that friction, we can ease that pressure on Naira reserves, and we can better tighten our fiscal, policies and our fiscal conservatism and make the Naira stronger. Because now what you are spending on chain, what you are spending on Spotify or Namecheap is just a representation of the Naira in at the bank, if that makes sense, right? So end of my speech is Naira is not dead. It just moved on chain. And if you want to move a dead capital, right? If you want to bring a dead capital alive, what you need to do is give it representation so you can trade against it, right? Remember my analogy about the US and the EU, being successful capitalists and the rest of the world, is not successful capitalism. And the reason being that zero representation. So this building I'm in right now is dead, right? Because we cannot represent it, we cannot trade against it, we cannot carry out other financial activities against it. And if we couldn't carry out financial activities against Naira, then it would have been dead. But thankfully, with the help of SEC, so many players involved, we've been able to build cNGN, and we're looking to see so many growing use cases. People building programmable Naira and doing so many interesting things with the cNGN over the last 5 or 6 months since we launched in February. That'll be the end of my short speech. I'll be willing to take questions. Thank you so much, Tolu, and everyone in the Nigeria, ecosystem.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Additional, I think I've been able to know so much about NGN now because I've been seeing it around and I was like, okay, okay, okay. So when we have this opportunity, I was like, this is my chance to learn. And thank you so much for clarifying that. So we have some questions at the comment section, and someone asked that is CNGN the same as cryptocurrency like Bitcoin? Like, okay, are we doing Bitcoin version of Naira here? So I think there will be. I will need clarity. We will need clarity on that so that they can know what it's actually mean. And that is question one after the other. Or I think
All
taking it one
right.
after the
So
other will be okay. Yeah.
let's take one after the other. Let's take one after the other. So stable coins are basically cryptocurrencies, right? Although we have stable coins built on private blockchain. So you can build a stable coin on the private blockchain, or you can build a stable coin on the public blockchain, right? But all in all, stable coins are built on the blockchain and they can be regarded as cryptocurrencies 100%, right? But since they are pegged one to one to a fiat currency, they are not volatile. I think that's where the word stable came from, right? Because some people thought stable came from the word, stable coin means that the currency is stable. Naira is not stable, right? But cNGN is pegged one to one to the naira. So the price of cNGN is the pricing of the naira, right? Since it's built on the blockchain, it's a cryptocurrency in every form of cryptocurrency. But it's a different type of cryptocurrency because it's pegged to a fiat currency. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Okay. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I hope the person that asked the question, you're able to know what it is. So another question here is how will CNGN really benefit people at the grassroots level? Because I believe one reason why you are actually doing this with your team is to make sure that we are also touching the grassroots people. Like I'm saying, people like small business owner, artisans, regular people that don't really want to do crypto. They don't really know about it. So how is this benefiting them? So I think yeah, that's the second question.
So
Thank you.
every stable coin has its adoption curve, right?
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I feel like the USDC, for example, is like the adoption curve of what you're talking about, right? When the USDC
Okay.
launched years ago, we did not have Shopify, for example, accepting USDC, right? So the adoption curve we are in right now, we are really actually a B2B company, right? We are focused on other companies who are going to use cNGN to solve problems, right? And we are very hopeful and we are very sure that in a couple of years to come, people would come on to build solutions that would help market women,
Mm.
for example, use cNGN. Zen Finance, for
Mm.
example, is tokenizing the Nigerian financial market using cNGN. So a
Okay.
couple of months ago, I wanted to call my first bank guy, she's a lady, sha. Anyways, because I had some free money, I wanted to buy treasury bills, right? The next
Okay.
month, Z Finance launched treasury bills on chain using cNGN, right? So instead of calling my bank guy and going to the bank to buy cNGN, I can buy cNGN.
Mm.
In fact, I earn cNGN anyways. I could just go to Zen Finance, put my money in Zen Finance, and lock it up for a year and earn the same yield that I would have earned by going to First Bank, right? Now, imagine a situation where Zen Finance decides to build another application, right? Where that 20% yield is coming in every day. There is a
Mm.
company called Mountain Protocol. I work with them as asset chain. What they do is, if you have 10 million naira cNGN, right, in your wallet, they fractionalize
Okay.
it and you get 20% in a year, but they fractionalize it to every day, right? So if the daily
Okay.
interest, daily returns for 10 million naira is, let's say 500 naira, for example, right? You get that 500 naira every day. Now imagine
Okay.
a market woman, like I told my mom one time, like, why are you holding 10 million naira in Zenith Bank that when you come back next year, you will see 9.999 clinical, hey, she was engine.
Mm.
So what I'm going is we'll get to that point where
Mm.
every other person is going to benefit from cNGN. But right now,
Mm.
we are totally B2B focused. We are totally at our adoption curve where we need to give cNGN to companies and businesses who are going to solve those problems for their end users.
That makes a lot of sense. Like that's very, very clear. Thank you so much for answering that question. So I have one last question here, and it said, "No, this workshop is actually for our ongoing residency program at Ethereum Nigeria, and developers are looking into infrastructure to build on, to also touch the grassroots. And also the question is how are developer, like how are they going to like build on this? Let's say I want to integrate cNGN into my products to make sure that, so I think you need to maybe clarify on that. And thank you.
cNGN.co. cNGN.co. That's our website, right?
Okay.
cNGN.co. Right? If you go to cngn.co and you scroll down, you will see this particular part where that links you to our documentation, right? So all of the documentation, all of the contract addresses, we're based, we're on asset chain, any of the chains, we're on Ethereum as well, and we want to see more volume on Ethereum. Ethereum guys, like we want to see more volume on Ethereum. Like I think Ethereum has the least liquidity on cNGN right now, and we want to see you guys building important use cases, right? So go to cngn.co. That leads you to our docs. Our docs is actually docs.cngn.co. But in case you don't get that, go to cngn.co. You'll see the developer documentation, and you can start building out use cases. We have so many products you can use. We have a cross-chain protocol that allows you to move your cNGN from asset chain to Base to Bantu to Solana to any of the blockchain, right? We have developer wallets as well. We have a product that allows you to create cNGN wallet for your customers. So in case you're building an application that requires in-house wallets, right? We have a product. So just go to cngn.co. You will see all of our products there and all of the documentation there. It's very developer friendly and very easy to. Even you that are not a developer, you go feel read them. No worry.
Definitely, I'm going there. I'm going there after this call. So thank you so much for it, because I don't want to unveil it here, but my team and I are building something that is so massive, and we are looking into touching the artisan economy. So we are looking for how to make it easy and making sure that you are using something they are used to. So definitely there will be a lot of collaboration coming up, and also building on the infrastructure and everything. So thank you so much for your time. I don't know, maybe there's any parting words you want to have before we close here. So if there's any question, they're gonna ask in the group. We reach out to you and all. Thank you.
No worries then. Thank you so much, everyone at Nigeria. Well done. Awesome what you guys are doing. Looking forward to see what you guys are building and how we can help support all the companies using cNGN to build very important use cases.
Thank you.
Once again, from all of you guys at cNGN, thank you so much, Nigeria. Have a lovely day, Tolu.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So thank you so much, everybody. We are looking forward to seeing CNGN this weekend at the Ethereum conference. I'm very sure that you guys are already prepared to come, right? Let me confirm, yeah, right here on the call.
We're talking. We're talking. We're talking. We're talking. I can confirm we're talking.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing you all. So thank you everybody for tuning in for this workshop. I believe we have learned one or two things about cNGN, and you can actually go to their website at cngn.co to know more, read the documentation, see how you can build, and also collaborate with them on this initiative. So our hackathon is coming this weekend, Thursday and Friday, 7 to 8. If you are building, this is the time to to put everything together and build. And we have our conference coming up this weekend as well at University of Lagos. It's going to be massive and you cannot miss it. So it's is already coming, and we have a lot of people also coming on board to share their experience, tell us what they are building and all. And we are so happy and looking forward to host them. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This will be the end of our workshop for today. Thank you, Adeshina, for coming
All right.
around. I
Bye,
really
everyone.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Yeah.